Welcome to the Pimp Your Brilliance podcast with Monique Malcolm, a show about creative people leveraging their brilliance to create their own opportunities. I aim to show you what's really possible when you shut down the chorus of fear and lean into your genius zone. You can learn more about this show and subscribe for updates by visiting keepchasingthestars.com/podcast. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pimp Your Brilliance. I am your host, Monique Malcolm, and the Pimp Your Brilliance podcast is a show for creative entrepreneurs who want to create opportunities and income by leveraging their ideas, talents, and skills. And we do that here every single week through inspiring interviews with amazing creatives from a variety of different backgrounds, things from retail, coaches, speakers, the whole gamut is covered here. And then I get on the mic myself, like I am today, and share bits and pieces of my journey, things that are happening in my own business, and strategies that you can try and apply to your own creative adventures. Today's episode is one of these solo shows where I'm actually going to be sharing something that's major that's happening in my business right now that I want to give you guys some insight into and hopefully help you if you are going through something similar or if you happen to find yourself in a similar place sometime in the very near future. Now, today we're going to be talking about pivoting and how to know when it's time to make a pivot in your business, because there comes a time in every single creative entrepreneur's life where you have built a business and all of a sudden things feel weird and the business is just not going the way that you want and you have some decisions to make. And one of those decisions is, do you pivot or do you quit? Do you pivot? Do you lean in more? And I want to share how that's looking for me and what I'm actually doing about this. Okay, so I want to be really transparent on this episode and share with you, and this is kind of happening in real time. It's only been a couple of weeks since I made this decision, but as of about a week ago, I've decided to split my business into two businesses. So that basically means that Keep Chasing the Stars, the way that it is now, is going to change. And I'm not even going to be vague. Let's just talk about splitting up a business. So moving forward, Keep Chasing the Stars is going to be the product side, the physical product side of my business, specifically the place where I sell the Visionary Journal. I have a few small gifts. I have t-shirts. And Pimp Your Brilliance is now going to be its own brand instead of this podcast that is like the official podcast of Keep Chasing the Stars, which is what it has been, or I have positioned it as. And let me tell you why. And this is where the whole idea of pivoting comes from. I've known for a while that a change has needed to happen in my business. It's been very clear to me, but I have been kind of stuck in this place of, I know a change needs to happen, but I'm not completely sure what needs to change. And I had some ideas, but I wasn't sure how they were going to look. And that was really scary to me. So with Keep Chasing the Stars, when I got started, I was selling t-shirts, speaking here and there about different topics, some about entrepreneurship, but a lot about productivity and goal setting. And then I launched the Visionary Journal, which is my planner system. And so speaking and kind of living in this space of goal setting and productivity felt natural and it felt right. But over the years, my love for entrepreneurship and wanting to encourage people to create some type of a business for themselves so that they can have a bit more financial freedom has really been like a real passion of mine, because I've learned so many things. I've worked online in some capacity for the past 10 years, and I've learned so many things, and there's so many things that I want to share with people. And so as I started to gain this larger interest in business and creative entrepreneurship, this whole goal side of my business started to feel, I don't want to say it no longer felt right. It's still a large part of who I am, but basically my interests had broadened. And I don't think that I did a great job of evolving my business with these changes in my interest. And so for the longest time, I've tried to kind of maintain this umbrella business of, I have a e-commerce store, I have, a coaching education business, and I have this podcast, and I have all these pieces, but in a lot of ways, they just didn't feel like they fit together anymore. I've known for a while that the Visionary Journal probably needs to be split off into its own brand, and I've even tried to split it off several times over the past couple of years, but the idea of having to run two businesses, two Instagrams, two newsletters, just always felt very overwhelming. And I would make the change and then go right back because I just felt like, oh, this is just another thing I have to manage. And I didn't want to have to do that. That kind of brings us to a place where we're talking about pivoting. And I think one of the big things for me is recognizing that a change needs to happen, but also recognizing that I had two very distinct audiences coming into Keep Chasing the Stars. And I've tried to explain this to some of my biz besties over the years. And I feel like they heard what I was saying, but they couldn't quite understand it. And I think I'm finally at a place now where I really understand it and I probably could better explain it. And that's why I'm going to explain it to you. So what I mean by having two distinct groups of people coming into my business. So I've always had an e-commerce store. So that's always been shop.keepchasingthestars.com. And then I have my regular website, keepchasingthestars.com. Depending on where you came from, it would really affect what you thought you were getting from my brand. So what I mean by that is if you came in on the e-commerce side and you just bought a planner or a t-shirt and you didn't poke around and see that I had a blog or a podcast, you just think I just have e-commerce shop. But if you came in on the website side of my business and got onto my email list, chances are you probably got here from Pinterest or some type of event I did. And there's an interest in business and creative entrepreneurship, even if there is interest in goal setting and productivity. But what I was finding is the people who came in just through the store, they just really wanted to know more about planners and goal setting and productivity and be inspired. And when I would launch things or run programs that was out of alignment with what they thought they were getting, there would be this huge disconnect. And I felt for a while that there's just been this war between, do I need to focus on more conversations around goals and productivity, or can I focus on business and what it takes to run a business? And so I have always felt like I have been straddling this line, and it just got to a point where I didn't know what to do about it anymore. And it just made me feel very stuck and trapped in my business. And that's not a great feeling. So I don't know if any of you can relate to what I'm talking about, but it's a real thing to build a business and love it and love your products and the things that you're creating and feel very proud of that, but also to feel very stuck in a way that things are just not working the way that they were before and you don't know why. Which brings me to my next point about why I am making this pivot and splitting up my business. And that is because my key performance indicators were starting to flatline. So when I say key performance indicators, I'm talking about things like traffic, email signups, followers on certain social media platforms, revenue, like all of these things that I track to see where my business is. When I did a comparison for this same time last year, the numbers are so different. And they're like starting to kind of flatline and plateau off. And that's very worrisome. That's not a great sign of a healthy business. And that's really one of those times where you have to sit back and really ask yourself, like, okay, what can we do? How can we get ourselves back on track? And I've been in this space probably for a couple of months now where I'm just trying to figure out, what do I need to change? Like, what is it that's wrong? And until recently, I just didn't know what that was. But I've been having a lot of conversations with women I've been interviewing, just my business friends, about things that I want to do in my business and where we're at and where I'm trying to go and changes I would like to make. And I finally had this moment of clarity. And when I tell you this moment of clarity, like I can't even explain it. But I think if you've ever been in a situation where you know things are off and you can't quite put your finger on what's wrong, and then all of a sudden it comes to you and it's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And it's like your mind just opens up. It's like the sun comes down and it shines on you. It's like, whoa. I don't know if that's dramatic or if that's just me, but that's how I felt. So about 2 weeks ago, I was sitting at my desk early in the morning on a Saturday trying to do some work because we were going to go spend the day out on the beach. And I was writing down just some notes about ideas that had come to me recently. And I had already at this point made the decision that I was going to split the Visionary Journal off into its own separate brand and continue moving forward with Keep Chasing the Stars as, more of a business focused brand, and let the Visionary Journal have its own space, because I do feel like I am stifling it by trying to keep it as a part of a brand in a space that it doesn't feel like it really fits anymore. And I was sitting at my desk and I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, how can I make this easier? How can I streamline this? And what is it that I really, really want to focus on? Like, the easiest way so I figured out what I'm going to do with the Visionary Journal, but thinking about Keep Chasing the Stars, like, what do I want to be known for? What is the thing that I do so well that I could do it in my sleep and would it be a problem? And what I wrote down on the paper was creating products. Like, that's the thing that I've been doing for years. I can do it in my sleep. I know how to create physical products. I know how to create digital products. I know how to manufacture things overseas. Like, I've learned a lot. I know how to do my own product photography and style photo shoots. Like, I've learned so much from doing physical products for 10 years. And I wrote it down and I just thought, yeah, that's it. Like, that's the thing. And I immediately sent the screenshot of what I wrote over to Siobhan, and I was like, yeah, so I think I'm going to niche down and focus on teaching people how to actually create products. And as I sat there and I thought about it, I wrote down a couple of ideas for like what products I could create under this, what kind of like courses or options would fall under this. And I already had some ideas from previous brainstorming sessions. And all of a sudden I got this thought that was like, this feels like what Pimp Your Brilliance is supposed to be. Pimp Your Brilliance should be a brand that's focused on teaching people how to create products, because that's essentially what Pimping Your Brilliance is, turning your brilliant ideas into a product or some kind of income stream, like monetizing your ideas. And as soon as I thought about that, I was like, so you need to rebrand. And I had like maybe a minute of resistance, and I got up to go brush my teeth. And during that time of brushing my teeth, like, I had sold myself on it. I was like, so you're rebranding, and Pimp Your Brilliance is going to be its own brand, and it will be your educational business. Like, that'll be your place where you educate people about this specific type of creative business. And I told Siobhan this, like, I'm going to rebrand. And she was like, oh, do we need to have a conversation? So I was like, we can talk about it, but I'm already sold on it. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And I told her my plans, and she didn't give me any pushback. She said, nope, that makes perfect sense. Like, I can totally see it. And yeah, I'm in agreement with you. And I said, okay, one down. So then I called Amber and I told Amber the same thing. And she said, same thing that Siobhan said, like, just do it. I see what you're talking about. Like, it all makes sense. And for those of you who are new, Amber and Siobhan are my biz besties. So Siobhan is over at Be Free Project and Amber is over at talktoamber.com. And I run a lot of things by them, which is why you need accountability partners and biz besties to help you make tough decisions. But I didn't get any pushback. And the last time that I decided to make a pivot and rebrand was when I was moving from Anti-Sparkle to Keep Chasing the Stars. And at that time, I had a business coach, and I told her of my intentions to rebrand and move into Keep Chasing the Stars. She gave me zero pushback. She was like, yep, do it. Hurry up and get it done. And that's kind of how I knew this time around, like, this was the thing. So if you're not laying down, if you're not catching what I'm laying down, basically the fourth reason, like the fourth push to make this pivot was just deciding to finally work in my genius zone. And that's been something that I think I've been resisting in a lot of ways, because I love creating and I love creating products, and I could just make and design things all day. But I've been really resistant to take that on as a thing, because I think I've just been trying to straddle this line of, well, you need to sell your products and like make all of these things fit into one neat brand. And they just don't. And here's the thing about working in your genius zone. When you know what your genius zone is and you decide to work in it, it's so much easier. Like there's no stress. I sat here and in a couple of days redesigned my website and brainstormed an entire product suite from physical workbooks that I could create that fit into the idea of Pimp Your Brilliance to a signature course, a signature coaching program if I decided I want to take one-on-one people, and some lower priced master classes and other products. And I did this all within a matter of hours, like no resistance. And I brainstormed a ton of content ideas and really kind of figured out like, okay, if I was going to teach somebody how to create a product, like what would be my system? It took me no time to get that stuff done and down because it's stuff that I've been doing for years. And I have it dialed into my own system that I use to help me get it done. So if you're a person who is in a place where you're like me, you're multifaceted, you have multiple interests, you are a Jane of all trade, you have a lot of things that you're really good at, I really think we need to stop resisting and lean into the thing that you are not even just kind of good at, that you are actually really, really good at. And I asked Siobhan, I said, I don't understand why it took me so long to get to this place, because I think I hit this point every single year where I'm like, I think I need to niche down, but I don't know what the thing is that I would niche down to. And I've never thought like, oh, well, you can just teach people how to create products exclusively. It's always the thing like, oh, you can make a course on that, but it wouldn't be like my main thing. It would just be a thing. But it's kind of crazy to me that this didn't become clearer sooner, because this is what people come to me for. Well, most of my coaching clients have come to me because they're like, I think that you do a really good job. Like you're able to come up with an idea and put it out there and ship it. And I want to know how to do that. And it's something that, like I said, I'm really good at it. I've done it for 10 years. So at this point, I have more than my 10,000 hours of doing that kind of work. But yeah, so, as of today, I've already kind of changed over the website. But as of today, as of you hearing this podcast, if you were to go to keepchasingthestars.com, you would be redirected, hopefully, to Pimp Your Brilliance. The redirect is kind of a little janky sometimes, but Keep Chasing the Stars will redirect you to pimpyourbrilliance.com. And I still have my store at shop.keepchasingthestars.com. I eventually, after I get all the redirect stuff situated, I plan to move Keep Chasing the Stars over to just the store and letting that be just my brand that's about pursuing your dreams, pursuing your goals, because that was always the intention for that brand. When I think of Keep Chasing the Stars, my intention was to help people achieve their goals. And I still want to do that, but I'm doing that through the physical product side, the e-commerce side of my business, while also honoring this desire to teach people about creative entrepreneurship. And I'm doing that through Pimp Your Brilliance. So that is like the long story there. So how does this apply to you? Say you are in a similar place where you think maybe it's time for me to pivot. Maybe some things need to change. How do you know if it's time for you to pivot? Here are some things that I think you should look out for. One is, has your business hit a plateau? And what I mean by that is are you feeling bored? Are you feeling low motivation? Do you feel like there needs to be some fresh life breathed into your business? Because if you are, chances are you may be hitting a plateau. And if you're hitting that plateau, maybe the change that you need to make is a pivot. Maybe you need to lean into something that's in your business that's working a little bit better. But if you have nothing in your business that is doing really well, that's growing, that's showing, any increase, maybe it's time, because you have plateaued. And if your business stays in a place of plateau, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be in business for very long, because trust me, if once you plateau, if you think about what a plateau is, it's like when you have this increase and then suddenly it just tapers off and it kind of flatlines. And at a certain point, it'll stop that little smooth like flat line and it'll decline. And you don't want to get to that point where you are on a decline. So when your business hits a plateau, that's a really good time to take a step back and evaluate what's happening, what's going really well in your business, and try to figure out where this plateau is coming from. And it could be that it's time for you to pivot. A second thing to look at is customer responsiveness. If customer responsiveness is low, it could be a sign that it's time for you to pivot. Because if you don't have customers, or if they are kind of lukewarm on your offers or not really responding to your launches or the things that you're putting out, you have a problem. Because if you don't have customers that are spending money in your business, you're not going to have a business for very long. So you really have to look at how are people responding to the offers that you're putting out. If there's engagement, if there's responsiveness, if people are signing up for things, then you may be in a good space. But if you are looking at your business, if you're tracking your metrics and you realize that all of a sudden there's a dip in responsiveness and it's continuous, because every business has peaks and valleys, so there's cycles. But if this is a dip and it's a sustained dip, like it continues to happen month after month, again, you may need to go back and look at what's happening in your business, but also consider maybe it's time to pivot. The third thing is if your interests have expanded. As I mentioned before, like that is where all this stems from. My interest in what I was doing has expanded beyond my interest has expanded beyond what I initially created my business to be. And I think that you have to be aware of this. And if that's happening to you, either figure out how to evolve your business so that you stay engaged and interested in it, or you may need to consider pivoting completely. And then the last thing is if you've had a shift in perspective and you want to change directions, that's fine too. So this goes beyond just having your interest expanded. It's one thing to be interested in a subject and expand that interest to cover some other related topics. But what if your perspective in business or whatever it is that you are working on or working as in your business, what if that completely changed? What if that completely shifts? So what if you go from thinking, oh, I want to coach people one-on-one in a specific niche, to I don't want to coach anymore. Like I want to change business models and I want to go from a one-to-one business model to a one-to-many. Well, that's another good reason to pivot. And it doesn't mean, when I talk about pivoting, this doesn't mean that you have to tear your brand down and blow up your brand. Sometimes you do need to do that. And I won't say I've done that at this point, but there is some tear down that's having to happen as a result of this change that I'm making in my business. But this is just you deciding to make a shift, make a change, or lean in more to one specific aspect of your business. So for me, on the Keep Chasing the Stars side, I want to lean more into the Visionary Journal because there's still a lot of goals that I have not achieved that I really want to achieve through that brand. Like I still want to do a trade show, and I have a goal to have my planners sold in like other stores like Barnes and Nobles and the Papyrus store. Like I want to see my planners on the shelves in those businesses. So I need to lean a bit more into that brand and not stifle it. While at the same time, I do also want to explore more on the educational side of my business, which is like, how can I put together a program that gives people real results, that really helps them quickly and efficiently create products that they feel really proud of. And so that is the thing that I'm going to lean in on that side. And I think it'll be a little bit of a challenge because I'm going to be managing two businesses, but I welcome the challenge and I'm really organized. So I think that it will be fine. So what does that mean for us going forward? Well, as I mentioned previously, the domain name is going to be changing. So now keepchasingthestars.com is not going to, well, it still technically works, but you will find this podcast on pimpyourbrilliance.com. And you will find new information soon on pimpyourbrilliance.com. That also means that I'm going to be focusing a bit more on teaching how to create and sell your first product. And I'm going to start out with digital products because that's easiest. there's a low barrier of entry for people. It's not as expensive. But I do hope to also talk about physical products and how to create and sell physical goods, because that's something that I've done and I really enjoy it. I love sending things to people in the mail. That's one of the reasons why I sell physical products. And then the last thing is Star Chasers United is going to be changing. So it will, one, no longer be Star Chasers United. I've renamed it to the Brilliance Lounge. And the structure of that is going to be switching up sometime in the next couple of weeks. So I'm working on that behind the scenes. But for the most part, a lot of things aren't going to change. I mean, the core of what I've been wanting to do on the educational side of my business is exactly the same. I've found notebooks, I found Post-it notes, and all of those things that I have written down as ideas and plans. None of that has changed. It's all exactly the same. What is changing, though, is I'm just splitting it off. So if you want information about setting goals and chasing your dreams and being inspired, you will find that under Keep Chasing the Stars. And if you want more information about business and how to create products and sell them and just the ins and outs of creative entrepreneurship, you will find them on Pimp Your Brilliance. And I feel like it's a nice logical split. And for me, that is everything, because I no longer feel this weight of trying to cram all of this stuff under one big Keep Chasing the Stars business umbrella. It's now its own thing to do its own, go as far as it's going to go. And I feel really, really good about that. So yeah, you guys, that's what's happening. So online, I still have Keep Chasing the Stars. I still have Star Chasers only on Instagram. I plan on moving forward that just showing my products and cute inspirational things and customer generated photos. And then Pimp Your Brilliance will be where you will find all the podcasting goodness and anything related to creative entrepreneurship. So, this was a lot. It wasn't a lot, but I feel better. The weight is lifted because I've been carrying around this and thinking I want to explain and share these changes with people and really announce it and get this done so I can move into the next phase, which is creating all the good stuff and the good ideas that I have going. And so it's really exciting. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I can't wait to share some of the things that I have going on behind the scenes. Okay. So with that being said, I would love to know what you think about all of this. Are you excited about the change? Do you have any thoughts? You can share them with me over on Instagram at Pimp Your Brilliance. I have that name on Instagram. And I would love to know your favorite part of this episode, or really hear your thoughts. And if you want show notes or information about this episode, you can find them over on pimpurbrilliance.com, pimpurbrilliance.com/63 for this episode. And I'm going to sign off now because I'm done. But until next time, go out there and pimp your brilliance. Bye.